Last week we came to the point of Iblis getting his time from Allah Azza wa Jalla until the Day of Judgment, and then he gave all of he just poured all of his venom in saying what he's going to do to us, the children of Adam alayhi salam. Now there's nothing to fear of Iblis. I think there's people who get really worked up and feared about Iblis and what he might do and how many shayateen there are. But there's nothing to be worried about, because Allah Azza wa Jalla has said in that verse, إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمُ الْمُخْلَصِينَ. So the servants of Allah Azza wa Jalla who are sincere, they are the ones whom Allah Azza wa Jalla will save from shaitan. And so sincerity is one element, a big element of saving ourselves from shaitan and from his waswasa. What does that mean? That means that we have to have a niyyah. See, the first hadith in Imam Bukhari's collection, the first hadith in many different collections of the hadith is إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. That most of the actions that you do, they will be determined by the intentions that we make. So having heard this, what we should know is that Allah Azza wa Jal will shape our actions according to the intentions we make. How sincere we are for Allah, that's how good our actions will turn out to be. So the ulama say to make in any action we do, whether it's ibadat, worship of God, whether it's muamalat and our transactions, or Islamic sort of learning, book reading, whatever it is, you should make your intention in the beginning that you're doing it sincerely for Allah's sake. And then you should check it somewhere in the middle that it is still for Allah's sake. And finally, at the end, when you finish that action, you should then turn back to Allah and to think that yes, this offering was for yourself. So as long as you got these three parts to your action, that's the sincerity of the action. So for example, I am going to give some da'wah, I'm going to invite someone to Allah. So I should first make the niyyah that it's only for Allah, so I'm not calling to like myself or for them to see me in a good light or anything like that. So I make that niyyah, then I go give my da'wah. While I'm giving my da'wah, obviously I'm going to pause at some time. So while I'm pausing, I should still make sure that I'm still doing it for Allah's sake. And then at the end, when I finish, it's good to sort of turn to Allah again, whether it's through a dua, whether it's just through the heart, just to turn towards Allah, and, just to think that yes, it was for Allah's sake. If at any moment a person realizes that their sincerity has been affected, then to correct it straight away. Because what we are judged by is the last of our actions rather than what is there in the beginning or the middle of actions. That's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالْخَوَاتِيمِ. In another hadith of Muslim, he said that the actions are going to be determined by the last of the actions. Now there's various interpretations of that, but one of the things is that finally, if you started to do it for Allah's sake, or you did it for Allah's sake and you were sincere, then they say that is a good sign, and hopefully Allah Azza wa Jalla will accept it. The ulama also say that most of the actions, awwaluhu riya wa akhiruhu ikhlas. They say about themselves. Right? These are some ulama who've written this, and they say about themselves that many actions that we start doing, it has riya in it, it has ostentation or showing off others in it, but later on, eventually it starts to turn towards ikhlas and towards the sincerity for Allah's sake. And in saying that, what I want you to do is look at, for example, a child. When a child starts to read his salah with his papa or mama or daddy or mummy, what you'll see is that they purely are doing it for their parents. 100% almost, they're doing it for their parents. So it's like, they see the dad doing sujood, so they want to do the sujood, and they see the dad wearing the topi, so he wants to put a topi on his head as well. And even my kids, they do this with me, and after you finish your salah, they come first thing like, look, I prayed. I prayed. So you're supposed to they want that attention from you, and give it to them. Don't try preaching to them. Did you do for Allah's sake? Was it for sincerity? Was it for me? They're not going to understand that at all. They're just purely doing it because they're doing taqleed. It's in their fitrah, so just follow and just copy. So they're doing it for that sake. So praise them for it's fine. Now, as the child grows up, you will find that when he gets to 7, 8, 9, 10, he will start to change a little. So he will have some thoughts of, okay, it's for Allah, we do it for Allah, but then at the same time, he's still gaining the parents, brownie points. And then after, when he gets to 12 to 14 or something, then you will see that yes, now he understands clearly that he's supposed to do for Allah's sake. But still, there will be some kind of riyah where he might do it for friends, or he might do because the authority is there, he might do because he might be disciplined if he doesn't do it, and so on. But when he gets to his 20s, it will change, the frame mind work will change, and the frame of mind will change again in the 30s. You know, as the more the person progresses in life, the more a person starts to ask, you know, to himself that, you know what, if I'm doing it for Allah's sake, then I should do it purely whether people are seeing it or people are not seeing it. And then you start seeing the person, you know, getting into the long sujuds and for Allah's sake, and when others are not even around, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So that's why the ulama said many of actions, they might start with riyah, somewhere they might have some kind of ostentation, but akhiruhu ikhlas, eventually we get to ikhlas. So don't be worried about not having pure ikhlas at this moment. If you listen to this, you know, start working towards it. The more you start to get your mind in that, the more inshallah bi'idhnillah it will work towards ikhlas. There's another thing to mention here is that when you know, last week we covered that ayah in Surah Isra verse 61 to 65, right at the end Allah added on, Allah said, Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan. My servants, you've got no power over them. And he said, laysa, no power over them. And he said, وَكَفَى بِرَبِّكَ وَكِيلًا. Allah then added, he said, your Lord is enough to depend upon. What that means is, we have to put our trust in Allah with regards to the shaitan. Don't ever feel that the shaitan can overpower you, but just put your trust. You do your bit and put your trust. Allah has asked us to do 2 or 3 simple things. And one of the major things He has said, okay, after doing it for the pure sake of Allah, is that you put your pure trust in Allah as well. That He's going to make you work out. Now, I've seen a lot of people and you know, who break this simple rule. I know you can hesitate. You can hesitate and think, oh my God, you know, how's it going to work out? How's it going to work out? That hesitation and that sort of doubt inside your heart, it's a breach of trust. Wakila means you are making Allah your trust. Allah has told us in that ayah in Surah Isra, when He mentioned all this about shaitan, when He mentioned the shaitan told him that I'm going to take them astray, Allah then added these words for a reason. And the reason why He's added this is, it's a breach of trust of a human being to think that Allah will not help him when the right time comes. It's a breach of trust. So what we're supposed to do is, and it's a simple thing to do, is that just trust Him. Just trust Him. It's going to work out. Khalas. You know, you're going on a journey. You don't know how this journey is going to work out. You're going for an interview. You're going for a job. The other day, somebody in this masjid came to me and said, Imam, make dua that I get this job. I'm going for my interview. I said, I'm not going to make the dua for you that you get that job. He's like, I said, look, just make dua to Allah and I'll make the dua to Allah. If the job is good for you, then may Allah give it to you. But if there's a better job out there, may Allah give you that one. Isn't that better dua to make? And I said, the istikhara dua that says, you know, oh Allah, if it is good for me in terms of my worldly affairs, my affairs of the akhirah, my final outcome, akhirati wa aqibati amri, if it's good in all these regards, then, you know, write it down for me, put it in my fate, make a good outcome for me, make it easy for me to attain it. But if in terms of my worldly affairs, my livelihood, my akhirah, my next life, my final outcome, if it's not good, then I want you to replace it with something else and move me away from me, move that away from me, and put barakah in whatever you put my fate into. I said, look, this is the best dua that you say when you want to go for something. But once you've done that, the thing is, just go brave as a lion in whatever you think is the best thing you've done. Alhamdulillah. If it works out, alhamdulillah. If it didn't, you know what? You know what I do a lot of times in life is that when something doesn't work out, I kind of have a, you know, it's such a long checklist in my head that I've lost count. But there are certain things in my head that haven't worked out in my life, and I just smile. I know there's a good reason why it never worked out. But I smile. The reason why I smile is, on the day of judgment, I'm going to ask Allah, oh Allah, why didn't that thing work out for me? What was your hikmah? What was your wisdom of which I wouldn't have any ability of knowing? please reveal that to him today. So my checklist of how many wisdoms of God he is going to reveal to me on the day of judgment is going to be big. And sometimes I think, you know what, I might be really silly saying this right now, because on the day of judgment I'll probably say, you know, I don't even care, just give me the Jannah. You know, that's going to be the best thing I just want to see right now. So, but sometimes, you know, like in life, he lets you carry on. You think, it didn't work out, alhamdulillah. My Lord's doing the best thing for me. That's what we're supposed to do. My Lord is doing the best thing for me. And whatever khair, whatever goodness in there is, and you know, it will come out. And a lot of the times what I see is that after 2, 3 years, 5 years later, when you move on in life, you look back and you understand, now I can see why. You know, you got together with this person, you know, it's supposed to be a really good project and everything was going really well, and suddenly something came up and it went all pear-shaped and you fell out and you had such a big, you know, clash. And, you know, things were politically, like a storm was brewing up, and it started, you know, political rain came down, and it was so bad between you and him. And then you think 5 years later, or 3 years later, you look back, when everything settled down, you think, you know what? It's good that happened, because it happened in the first few stages of our contract. If it happened deep 5 years, 10 years down the contract, the political storm would have been a tornado. It wouldn't have been a little storm. It would have been a massive tornado that would have ripped my life and ripped his life as well. So it's better that Allah made it happen in the early stage than for it to happen in the later stage. And I sometimes look back at this and I think, subhanAllah, you know, that happened for a reason. So in terms of the shaitan and whatever he can do, first thing is that he's got no power. Second thing is, I'm going to put my trust. So I'm putting my trust. You read Ayatul Kursi after the salah, you know, after every salah if you can. I've mentioned this sort of last week. And, you know, there's many other du'as that, you know, with your eating and other stuff, you know, going to the toilet and other things that you read. You will have a portion of Quran reading every day and other things which I've mentioned before as well. And then you just simply put your trust in Allah that He's not going to be able to have any power. However, you still need to check. Sometimes it's really good to know that there is a power of evil awaiting you to take you astray. Sometimes it's really good to think of that. If you think how Allah's created us. I mean, one of my learned friends mentioned this once, and I think it's a deep thing that he said. He said that the human being has been created so that you actually have to have a thing to hate. You've been made like that. You have to have things to love, and you've got this mechanism inside you that you must hate certain things. Every human being, there's certain things they hate. Certain people they hate. Certain ideologies they hate. You will not find for me anyone who will be able to like and love everything. Otherwise, he's insane. He's mad. How are you going to love right wing in politics, left wing in politics, and everyone in between? You must be crazy. If you love the neocons in politics and you love the liberals in politics, you must be mad, because both of them are at each other. You can't do that. So the same thing is in every aspect of life. Every aspect of life. You cannot love everything. You know, you're either, you know, on the Sufi side or the Salafi side, or you're somewhere in between, but you can't sort of mix everything of everything and every side. You know, there's going to be some parts that you can't get on with. So the point here is that the hatred of ours is supposed to be turned attention to shaitan. The attention of that has to be towards the shaitan. And that's why Allah mentioned, every time He mentions shaitan, He says, Aduwwum mubin. Now the other thing that Allah mentioned that's really important to understand this is that Allah's called him a clear, open enemy. He's an open enemy. Now an open enemy is better than a secret enemy. Now there's many different interpretations of open enemy. One thing about open enemy is that he is clearly your enemy. There's no doubt about him not being your enemy, and that's the most most common tafsir that you will get of that ayah. That he's your clear and number one enemy. There's no doubt, shadow of a doubt, that he's your enemy. You better not have any doubt ever that he's your devil. The devil is your enemy. That's fine. But there's another part to this. An open enemy and a secret enemy, one that is closed or someone that you don't know of, is very difficult to deal with. Right? So for example, if I was here and I knew that a musalli kind of doesn't like me, and every time he does salam to me, it's like, Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, all right. I think, whoa, he's my, you know, he does, what's up? Maybe it's that time when this happened to and every time that, he's like, he doesn't want to have eye contact with you, he wants to stay away from you, this and that. Now that's one type of enemy. The other one, which is worse than this one, is the one that is a closed enemy. So what happens? He comes, Assalamu alaikum, how are you, brother? You okay? MashaAllah. Right? And you don't know, he hates your guts. He wants to pull your intestines out. So he's mashallah and he's sitting with you and he's, giving you all the smiles and all the, good words he can, but he's working against you. He's going to backstab you. He's waiting for you to get close to him, and he's going to he's telling other people in the community how bad you are, and he's backstabbing you without you even realizing. That's a worse enemy, right? So why Allah called the shaitan an open enemy is because his tricks are all in the Quran. All shaitan's tricks are numbered in the Quran. There is not a trick that you can find of shaitan that is not in the Quran. There are certain subtle tricks he can use. And inshallah one day, if you get the chance, there's a wonderful book by Ata'ullah al-Iskandari. It's called Al-Hikam al-Ata'iyya. It's a wonderful book. And I think it's just in Arabic, but I would love to do that book one day, because it's got all the subtle things that the shaitan does. I mean, they're under the Quran. They all come up from the Quran, but it's very subtle moves that he makes with you. But nevertheless, we don't need to be concerned about that. Allah Azza wa Jalla has listed all his. So what's he going to do? He's either going to make you believe something that isn't there, right? Or he's going to make you doubt something. Right? Something that is certain, he's going to make you doubt it. Or like last week what I said is that something is serious and he's going to make you feel that it's not serious. Or what he's going to do is that he's going to procrastinate. So he's going to say, don't worry about it, just carry on. Don't worry. It'll be all right. Just a bit more. Like, for example, when we're sleeping in the morning, says, oh, you got a long night. Just go back to sleep. Long night. Procrastination. Don't do it today. Just do it tomorrow. And he did that to one of the Sahabi at the time of Tabuk, the Battle of Tabuk. He told him to go out tomorrow, and then go out tomorrow, and then finally he couldn't reach the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So procrastination is a massive one that he does. Another one is that he gives you promises that are not true, and one of them we're going to come to inshallah when he promises Adam alayhi salam about the tree. And another one is that when shaitan, what Allah has mentioned is that he's going to start to whisper and make you feel that you're talking to yourself and it's you, but it's really not you. Now that is slightly subtle, but you can catch it out. If you sort of think that I'm being, Allah said clearly, فَإِنَّهُ يَأْمُرُ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ. All the waswasa inside, all the secret whispering inside will come to two things. Either it's going to come to something obscene, or it's going to come to something which most good people will dislike and reject as being good. Right? So two things. So number one is fahsha, and this has been mentioned in various parts of the Quran. Fahsha is something obscene. So anything that is dirty, that is lewd, that is, whether it's to do with the human body, or whether it's to do with the human language, or whether it's to do with language itself, anything like that, it comes under fahsha. And that is something that shaitan loves to take human beings towards. And the second thing is munkar. Now munkar is a massive thing, which is most good people, like you got a good person who likes truthfulness. Most people will tell you truthfulness is the best thing. They're good people. They hate lying. So munkar is, lie is a munkar. It's something that people yunkiruhu mean that they dislike it, they reject it, they think is bad, they think is vile. So what most people don't like, that is something that shaitan will try and make you do. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given a beautiful way of summing this up. He said, وَالْإِثْمُ مَا حَاكَ فِي نَفْسِكَ وَكَرِهْتَ أَن يَطَّلِعَ عَلَيْهِ النَّاسِ. He said that sin is something that will wither in your heart, and you kind of be unsettled about it, and you will dislike that people find out about it. That's the way of measuring whether what my thoughts are right now, are they from the shaitan or are they from myself? Right? And you just measure them up. Would I really like people to know what I'm thinking about right now? That I want to just smack him behind his back? right? Or I want to basically go and just take that £10 from there, or I want to basically send this text message out right now, and I think, yeah, that's right. When he gets that, he's going to have it, right? He's going to understand, yeah? Would I really like all people to know that I'm doing this, or would I have to stand there justifying what I've just done? If you have to justify what you've done, then perhaps there's something wrong there. But if you don't have to justify it, if people say, yeah, you know what, if common people say, yeah, you know what, you did the right thing, then you don't, then that wouldn't be a sin. So these are some of the things that the shaitan will do as his way of taking people towards the wrong pathway. And Allah mentioning that He's being an open enemy makes us feel that we've got nothing to basically be scared of this particular creature of God that He is creating. And He says, for example, this about fahsha, obscenity, and about just look in Surah Baqarah, ayah number 169, 168. 168 and 169, you look at that and you will find fahsha. And you'll find another word, su, which means evil, that he calls towards. And you will find that enmity is something that the shaitan creates. Enmity is something that he creates. And we're going to come to enmity in a bit, how Allah Azza wa Jal, it's in our nature to find enemies, but shaitan is the one that will try and create enemies. And most of the problems in the world, especially if you look in the Muslim world, our biggest problem is that we got too much enmity between us. And the biggest problem to that is it goes right down to shaitan. And what kind of waswasas he says? He says, hey, you're white, he's black, you're better, he's worse. That's what he does. He says, you're rich, he's poor, you're better, he's worse. Prejudice, waswasa in the head, thinking that you're a better person. These are the things that have divided us. Did you see what he did to me? He won't to say you're, I shouldn't even say that. He'll say, I am. He'll use the word I am, which I said before. He'll say, no, I am someone, who was right. He has to be wrong. My self-image is going to be broken down if I don't accept this thing. If I don't go down this pathway right now, he's got to be wrong. He's got to be put down. Otherwise, he's going to destroy me. Right? These are the things that he will start whispering into people. And there's other things. For example, he'll make you be extravagant. He'll make you go beyond Allah's laws slowly. That's in Surah Isra, ayah number 27, if you want to check that. In terms of getting people into actual sin itself, and then making them have further enmity. This is something Allah has mentioned in Surah Ma'idah, ayah number 91, if you want to check that. Khamr wal maisir, gambling, intoxicants, and so on. Allah said these are from the impure actions of the shaitan. Rijsum min amali shaitan. But if you then look at the opposite of all of this, Allah Azza wa Jal has said, for example, He has said in Surah Nahl, Surah number 16, ayah number 98 and 99, He has said, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. When you start reading the Quran, start to seek protection in Allah from the outcast of shaitan. إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ لَهُ sultan. He has no power over who? عَلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. On those people who believe and who have full trust in their Lord. Full trust in Lord. Shaitan has no way over them. Quran is a wonderful way of keeping the shaitan away. Wonderful way. If you stay in recitation of the Quran, it's a wonderful way. And dhikr of Allah is another great thing. Allah said when you gain taqwa, automatically, even if a whole group of shaitans come to attack you, you'll be safe. That's in Surah A'raf, ayah number 201. Surah A'raf is Surah number 7. But obviously, if you start to befriend the ways of the shaitan, you will start moving away from the Rahman, away from Allah Azza wa Jal. وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ نُقَيِّضْ لَهُ شَيْطَانٍ فَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ. Allah says, I'll even make him your shaitan, your friend for you, if you start to, not listen to me and start to befriend his ways. This is in Surah Az-Zukhruf, Surah number 43, ayah number 36. Allah has said that if you ever realize that he has just, attacked you, made you do something wrong, then he said, just say A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitan Rajim, or say A'udhu Billahi, just say A'udhu Billah. This is in Surah A'raf, Surah number 7, ayah number 200. And of course we've got Qul A'udhu Rabbin Nas, a wonderful way of keeping his waswasa away from us. And one big ploy, one big attack that shaitan has got on human beings is to make you be forgetful. This is one of the best ones he uses. And at this moment, I think from all the tricks that he's got under his, armpit, or under his, horns, or whatever you want to call it, the biggest one he's used is this thing about being absent-minded, being in a state of forgetfulness. So for example, the satellite, the TV, the computer, the apps, the technology, the wonderful wife, the wonderful married life, the kids, the wealth, the assets, all of that. What's all that doing? Allah has mentioned again and again in the Quran, it's making you forget what your real purpose of life is. Alhaakumut takathur. Alhaakumut takathur. Allah says that, the rivalry between yourselves to try and get more and more of this dunya, it makes you become forgetful of many things, mainly forgetful of Allah Azza wa Jalla and the Akhirah and why we're here and what we're supposed to return with. This is one massive one that he uses. In fact, he makes you so forgetful that he even makes you forget that the shaitan is even there. That's the ultimate one. When you think that, you know what? You're so drunk in this world. If somebody's so drunk in this world that they've even forgot that the enemy is around, that he's an open enemy, when they've forgotten that, then La ilaha illallah, then he's really got you. And there are plenty of Muslims out there that are in this situation. So anyway, coming back to, these are some of the things I've summarized for you, for some of the ploys of the shaitan, and don't worry about it. These are some of the things he tries to do. The more we remember Allah Azza wa Jal, the more, the less the shaitan has an influence on us. Now, what happens here is that Adam alayhi salam then is put into Jannah. Okay, Adam alayhi salam is put into Jannah. Now, where was this Jannah that he was put into? The Mufassirin have debated. It's a long debate, and you'll find it in the books of Tafsir. Some say that Adam alayhi salam was in the Jannah, in a Jannah or in a garden, a beautiful garden in this world itself. And others say that Adam alayhi salam was in the Jannah that we're all supposed to return back to. Jannah, Jannatul Ma'wa, Jannatul Khuld, Jannatul Firdaus, whatever it is, that Jannah is the one that Allah created Adam in. Now, they're divided, the Mufassirin are divided, which one is it? Because the ayah, the Quran is not very clear on it. But there are certain indications of which one it might be. It doesn't make so much of a big difference if you really think about it, but the debate is there, and I'll just quickly try and sum up the debate itself. So, for example, when Allah Azza wa Jal created Adam alayhi salam, if he put him, this is the whole debate. Number one debate is, when Allah Azza wa Jal told Iblis, get out of here, ukhruj minha, get out of here, did he mean get out of Jannah, get out of that Jannah in the sky, right? Get out of there, you don't belong here anymore. If that was the case, the question is, how did Iblis come and whisper in Adam alayhi salam's body, or come as a creature and whisper to him? How did he do that? So those Mufassirin say that there's no way. If God said, get out of here, there's no way he's going to be entered back in. And therefore they started to say, well, he must have been in a Jannah in this earth, meaning there's a beautiful garden on this earth, and then Allah simply made him move away from that Jannah when he ate from the tree, whatever he ate from the tree. And also they say that Adam alayhi salam, when shaitan came to him and shaitan said to him that, you will be able to live forever and so on, he wouldn't be able to give that waswasa if Adam alayhi salam was in the real Jannah, because in that real Jannah, Adam alayhi salam, he knew that's a place forever. And they say he must have been on this earth, because this earth is a temporary world. So he was able to tell him that, look, this is a temporary world. If you want to become like the angels and be in the higher world, and you want to be living forever, then you better, eat from this particular tree. And they've got other dalils. I believe, this is my own sort of preference, I believe it was not in this world. I believe it was in the world of in the other world, and it was above the seven heavens and the seventh earth where Allah has created Jannah. I believe it was in there. And I believe when Allah said to him, ukhruj minha, get out from this place. It didn't mean Jannah, it meant from the maqam, it meant from the station, the rank that Iblis had got and he received after worshipping Allah so many years. He was dismissed from that rank, so he lost that position in the sight of Allah. But he still could go around Jannah and he still was roaming around there. So that defies that. The other one thing is on this word ihbitu. When finally Allah said to Adam alayhi salam, come down from here, get down from there, that is a strong position on this side, on the side that I take. That Allah said get down, so it means that down from one place down to what? To the earth. Go to the earth. And Allah says ilal ard. He says, I'm going to send you to the earth, and fiha tahyaun, in that world you're going to stay, and in that world you're going to die, tamutun wa minha tukhrajun, and from that world you're going to be resurrected again. So that's a very strong evidence that means that he was from another place and then he came down to the earth. The other ulama, they say no, ihbitu can mean that you're going from one place to another. So for example, when Nuh alayhi salam was on his boat or on his ark, and Allah, it settled down and the waters receded, Allah said, ihbitu minha. Allah said to him, come down from here, meaning that just come out from your boat or from your ark onto the ground. That's it, that's what it meant. Or when Allah said to the people of Musa, ihbitu misran, go to this city, these are all in the Quran, it meant just go from one place of the earth to another place of the earth. That's all it meant. So it was all on this earth. However, I believe that it was in that real Jannah. Now, anyway, that's a small debate.